Howdy peeps and welcome back to the channel, and yes, shock, horror, Sharpie's Mojo's back. He's doing modelling stuff again. So we have a modelling video. To all you guys and gals who've been following me since it was just modelling stuff, yay! To all you fishy peeps who've started following me since I started keeping fish and doing fish videos, don't worry, the fish videos will keep coming, but maybe watch. You might find modelling interesting or fun, you never know. This one perhaps not, because it's fairly niche. As you can probably see, well, can see, I've been doing some work on the Revell Mobius Colonial Viper Mark II from Battlestar Galactica. Probably the one kit in the stash that I haven't reviewed. I can do it now, don't bother. Especially don't buy the Mobius kit, buy the Revell boxing because it's a third of the price. Just FYI. Flashy, clunky, yeah, it's generally not a very nice kit. Anyway, on to the subjects of today's video, and we have the spare head from my Thunder Tusk. Yes, go on, get the AC/DC jokes in now. This is actually the Stonehorn head. And as you can see, I primed it and painted it in a variety of weird colours. We got white, grey, cockpit turquoise and a bit of silver. Just as a lorry decides it's going to go past. Yay. And why have I done that? Well, because I picked up a pot of the Citadel contrast paints. Now, these are pretty new on the market. They've been massively hyped up as to being like the cure-all for all painting woes and the magic and all this kind of stuff. Do I believe that? No. Should we see what it actually does in the flesh with a modeller using it rather than a tabletop wargamer? Not disparaging tabletop wargaming, but modelers have a different mindset and a different set of ways of doing things than a tabletop modeller. We're not necessarily looking for the quick and easy answer, we're looking for the best answer. So what do we get in the pot? Well, I think it was about 375. Don't think it actually says how much is in there. 18ml, half a fluid ounce. There's a little less in here, but it's because this is the second time I filmed this video. The first time the camera battery died. So yeah. What I did in the first time I did it was I tried thinning it and see what it thins well with. I didn't bother with water because it's Games Workshop and everything's water based, so you know it's going to thin with water. That one I thinned with the UMP thinner, which thins pretty much anything acrylic on the market, including normal Games Workshop paints, and I can confirm it does thin the contrast paints. That one was Mr. Leveling Thinner, ka-ching, and it went a bit gritty but was mainly okay, so that could have been gunk in the brush from something else, I don't know. And as yet again, same thing I did yesterday, I've forgotten to fill my water pot up with water, so we'll worry about that later. Right, so paint. Now I don't want to come into this with any preconceptions. I like Games Workshop's products. Are they overpriced? Yes. Are they as great as they say they are? No. Do they make some damn cool miniatures and figures? Oh, you betcha. I say I build them because I enjoy them. I'm not a fanboy. So here we go. Now they say to use their primers. I'm not buying a can of Rattle Can Citadel primer for God knows however much that costs for the subjects of this. Especially as I wouldn't be using it on anything anyway. So I prime this again with my favourites. UMP Grey, UMP White and the turquoise is the AK cockpit turquoise. All airbrushed around about 22 psi through my iWater HPC Plus. And I think the main thing Games Workshop are on about is you need a satin kind of finish. There's no good having a clunky matte finish, or this won't work. So let's give it a go. Start on the white stuff first. Pick up a bit on the brush. I think the general theory is this is best puddled on rather than delicately painted. So we'll just puddle some in into an area with plenty of deep details. I will also do a bit on the horn, which has got less detail, so you can see how it fares on a flatter surface. Now I think the theory behind this is it's all in one, instantly does your highlights, your shading, everything like that. So we shall see. It's obviously the brush is okay, it's pretty thin. So on the white it covers fairly well, and the bigger puddly bits are obviously going to take longer to dry. So let's try on the grey. Have we got a grey bit? I haven't. Yeah, the grey will be on the horn as well then. See how it goes over a grey primer. Just so you can see if there's much difference between how it reacts. And then on the cockpit turquoise as well, just again just to get an idea of what we can use this for. And yeah, it's going on pretty heavy handed. I'm not being subtle or delicate about this. We'll see how that comes on in a moment as it dries. And we'll see what kind of different tones or how it looks once it's done. And as you've possibly seen, I've also done the tip of this horn in silver. This is just brush painted with Vallejo Model Air something, probably aluminium or silver or steel, I don't know. Don't really matter, but I just wanted to see how it would react on that and whether it would give us a candy type finish. Obviously not a gloss candy because it's not going to dry gloss, it's going to dry matte. And I think if you airbrushed it you'd probably get a better result. But there we go. So now we just got to sit and wait for it to dry. Well, but actually while we're doing that I can pop that just over there to dry momentarily. I'll just re-show you. Drop the paint, because if you don't show people these things they don't believe you. Drop 2 UMP thinners. So it's an alcohol based thinner. Thins it just fine. Wipe the brush off on something, and we'll get a little bit more, than that. Again, wipe the brush off, and we'll grab a drop. Shut me UMP thinner, put it out of the way. We'll grab a drop of the Mr. Leveling thinner here. Go 2 drops, just to make sure. This is something I if there are any tabletop wargamers watching this, perhaps there is perhaps something you can explain. Now, I've noticed a big problem with using anything alcohol or lacquer based when it comes to tabletop wargaming. Is there any particular reason for that? Are you guys sort of perhaps concerned about toxic or non-toxic? I say if you are, if there's a particular reason, let me know. I say because I say us scale modelers. I don't mean to sound disparaging or put myself like I build scale models, I'm better than you. None of that. It's more. It's two different cliques of the same hobby. Basically, there does seem to be quite the difference between the two in terms of, you know, techniques, products, all that type of stuff, and I just wasn't exactly sure why. It seems to me if a product does the job and it does it well, then that's the product you use. I mean, okay, if you're just brush painting, then perhaps, you know, staying away from things like lacquers is a good idea because they don't take too well to being brush painted. But if you're running an airbrush, it makes sense to not just limit yourself. Right. Pull that out into there. So there we go. As you can see, it does thin with both. I've not actually tried to thin the Citadel standard paints with some Mr. Leveling thinner, so let's have a go at that, shall we? Just as a random offshoot. This is some, I'll show you first, base Nagaroth Knights. It's a standard brush paint. Well, I say standard brush paint. It's going to need thinning before I paint it on any of my models, that's for certain. Oh, we've got a big chunk here, so there we go. Let's pop some of that down. That needs a damn good shake up, so I'll leave it there for now. Some alcohol thinner. So we know it thins perfectly well with UMP thinner because I've done it many a time, and it's actually on the UMP thinner ratios chart. Although the percentages might need revisiting, Paul, because some of these new sort of base, and I think the base paint, the layer paints are the same kind of thickness as they used to be. The base paints are thicker, so if you wanted to change the percentages on there, it might be a idea. It does thin. There's a few chunks in there, but again, I don't know whether that's just the lacquer cleaner cleaning gunk out of my brush, or they're air bubbles. Right, so there we go. You can thin Games Workshop paints with Mr. Leveling thinner. And the good thing about doing that is it does clean all the gack out of your brush afterwards. If you really want to clean your paintbrushes, water doesn't do the job. You need something a bit more oof to it. Anyway, so there's some experimenting. You've seen what happened. Let me know what you think. Now we'll put that somewhere safe so I don't spill purple thinner all over everything. We'll take a look at the head. And I'll zoom us in for this so we can get a bit closer and see just what's occurred. I think most of it's dry now. It's going to white out a little because of the white primed sections. If we look over this side, you can see where it's pulled in the recesses and covered the rest, so it's given like an instant shading effect. Done similar on the horn, obviously not quite dry yet, but it is rather patchy. Whether you'd sort that out with, say, a dry brush afterwards, which you'd do anyway to pick out the highlights. And the sharper corners, just checking I've actually got it in shot, you can kind of pick up where it has backed away from the corners and gone into the recesses, much like a wash would. And you've got some kind sort of instant highlights. On the grey, as one would expect, it's gone a lot darker. It's just got darker base colour. On the turquoise, it's basically darkened it a tad, giving us a nice dark recessed wash. Quick dry brush over that and job done. And in the places, I'm checking I'm actually in camera shot, and you might not be able to pick this up through the camera, but I think it could be serviceable as a candy paint. Obviously not through a paintbrush, you'd have to airbrush it for that and build it up gently so you don't get any of the pooling, which you certainly wouldn't want on a candy job. So there, it seems to work. What are my impressions? Is it a cure-all, fix-all for the modelling hobby? No. Could it help reduce the amount of grey primed armies that are on battlefields? Quite probably, yes. It'd make people's life easy enough. It's not too tricky to do. You just daub it all on. Does it have its uses? Yes. Would I instantly go out and buy the entire range? No. Why did I go for the turquoise? Because I thought it might make a good wash for Russian cockpits. As it is, it's a bit dense for that, so I'll stick to using whichever the dark bluey green citadel shade is for that. I can't remember what it's called. It's on the rack somewhere. So yeah, let me know what you think down below, and if you're not already subscribed, click the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, click the notification bell. I'm looking to get back into doing more videos and stuff again now. My mojo's coming back for the modelling. And feel free to share it around on whatever pages, sites or whatever you feel like. And enjoy your modelling. I'm zoomed in so I can't get my hand in shot. There we go. Enjoy your modelling. Peace out. Rock on. Bye bye.